Hey, what's up everyone? Doing another video on this 2012 Kia Optima hybrid. Just did a video on replacing the spark plugs and valve cover gasket on this. But this video, I'm going to be draining the coolant and going to be putting in a new thermostat. And then we'll refill the cooling system. So let's get started. Go ahead and pop your hood. So with your hood open, you want to locate your coolant overflow reservoir, which is going to be on the passenger side. And now, since this is a hybrid, you also have another coolant reservoir for your inverter, which is going to be on the driver's side, which we don't want to touch because we're not messing with that today. We're going to be doing the engine cooling system. So over here on this one, just go ahead and pop open the lid. And then down below here on your radiator, you got your radiator cap. Let's just go ahead and remove that as well. Go ahead and block the rear wheel on the driver's side. And then on the passenger side here, let's go ahead and jack it up so we can get to the drain plug for the radiator. And you're just going to go under the pinch weld here. And then I'm going to leave the jack under here, but I'm going to put a jack stand next to it. Just like that. And then underneath the front of the car here, we're going to take off this skid plate here because our drain plug is right up above here. And you could probably do this without taking this off, but I don't want to get coolant all over this. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off. So grab you a 10 millimeter. You got a couple bolts here. And then you got 3 over here. And it looks like a Phillips head right here. And then I'm hoping this single skid plate here comes off just on the passenger side. Nope, looks like we're gonna have to remove this side over here as well. So kind of the same thing, looks like 3 right here. Kind of like that. And then it looks like we got a couple more Phillips right here, or you can remove 10 millimeter way back there, but I'm just going to do these Phillips right here real quick. So with that skid plate out of the way, now we got access to our radiator drain plug here. So grab you a drip pan and go ahead and loosen this. So go ahead and let that drain. Alright, so while that's draining, I'm going to go ahead and pull my jack stand and then lower my jack down just enough to make the car level. That way that radiator drains evenly. Just make sure you don't crush your drain pan. Next, I'm going to see if we can remove this whole air filter housing here. So grab a 10 millimeter, remove these 2 bolts. And then you can pull this off. And then let's go ahead and remove our engine cover here. Just pulls off of here. And then with your 10 millimeter, let's loosen up this little hose clamp here. And then let's remove this hose here. So go ahead and squeeze your clip. Pull that off. And then it looks like we got 2 more 10 millimeter bolts and 1 down there. Now we should just be able to remove it. So now with that air filter housing out of the way, that gives us better access to the thermostat right here. Zoom in, and it looks like we got a total of 1, 2, and 3 bolts to remove to get that off. So let's go ahead and do that. And grab you a rag, and we'll shove a rag down in here. Then we should be able to just pull this off. Like that. Then we can go ahead and pull the thermostat, and then just notice you can see this air bleeder valve is on top. So we want to make sure we install the new one just like that on the top. So let's see if we can pull this out. Just like that. So with the old thermostat out, go ahead and take a closer look at it. And you can see on this one, this was probably the original one because it has the Hyundai and Kia logo on it. But also on here it says 88 degrees Celsius right there. I don't know if you can make it out. But that's equal to 190 degrees Fahrenheit. And the thermostat that I got from the parts store is 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So I went ahead and ran over to the parts store, took the 180 degree one back, and looked at the other options, and they do have a 192 degree Fahrenheit thermostat, which I did order because they didn't have it in stock. It'll be here in the morning, so I'm gonna have to wait for that to get here in the morning to do any more on this. I just wanted to make sure I put the same temp thermostat that came out because he wasn't having any problems. He's just doing some routine maintenance on this car. So while we're waiting for that thermostat to arrive, we can go ahead and drain the overflow reservoir and also maybe pull it off and clean it. But first, you can see the hose running down here. Go ahead and pull that out of this, and then go ahead and pull it from the radiator cap right in here, and then kind of just let that drain down into the pan there. Once that's done draining, go ahead and grab a 10 millimeter and you loosen up this one, and then you got another one right here. And then you can go ahead and grab your hose, and I'll just kind of stick this in here for now. And let's go ahead and lift this out like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and wash this, because taking a look in here, you can see how dirty that is, all that sediment and debris. So I'm going to go ahead and take the hose to this and wash it out real good. So I got the tank all washed out. Still kind of black in some areas. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. And a lot of people just buy new ones of these, but I think it's just fine if you wash it out. So I'll go ahead and stick that back in real quick. Stick our hose back on. And one more thing we can do while I'm waiting on that thermostat is go ahead and mix our coolant. This is the coolant I bought. It's the green stuff, and it's for Asian vehicles. And you can see on here it says Kia 1990 and up, and this is the concentrate. It's much better to buy the concentrate than the 50/50 stuff because you're pretty much paying for water. And so what I like to do is get a gallon of distilled water, and then I got this old jug of antifreeze that's empty and washed out. So what I do is gonna do a 50/50 mix. So I'll go ahead and pull the cap off of that, and then this is a gallon, so I'll go to the 2-quart mark here with distilled water. About right there. I'll take a funnel, open this up, go ahead and pour that in. And right about there should be 4 quarts. And as you can see, this bottle doesn't have any clear marks on it to measure, so, but like I said, you do about like that. It's maybe a little more. Probably right there. And then I'll go ahead and just move this over here, and then fill the rest of this with distilled water. Just like that. Now we got 2 full gallons of coolant. Alright, so I finally got the new thermostat here on the left. And I was comparing it to the old one on the right here. You can see we still got our air valve on top there. But this new one came with the gasket, and the thermostat sits inside the gasket for some reason. Whereas this old one, the gasket fits like that on the outside of the thermostat. It doesn't fit inside it. So that's kind of weird. And then this old one has this little groove right here, which fits in the thermostat housing a certain way. Whereas the new one, you can see it's kind of molded onto this new gasket here. So the new thermostat will not fit inside that housing, because this gasket on the backside is going to get in the way, because it needs to sit like that on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the new thermostat, but I'm going to reuse this old gasket because it seems like it's better quality and I think it's going to fit better. Alright, so I'm going to take my new thermostat and go ahead and pop that in there. Remember, make sure that air valve is on top. So pretty much kind of like that. Then you go ahead and grab your gasket and your water outlet here. See if I can show you. I'm just going to turn it and then go ahead and set your gasket just in those little grooves there. So it's just sitting there like that. And then, I don't know if you guys can see, but you got 2 little nubby things right here which fit into these little holes on the thermostat housing right here. You got one on top and one on bottom. So let's go ahead and stick that on, make sure thermostat's in there sitting properly. And go ahead and put your housing on there. Alright, and I just went hand tied on those. I guess you could torque them if you wanted to, but especially that bottom one's really hard to get a socket on, let alone a torque wrench. So just hand tighten them should be good. So with that thermostat housing tight, we can go ahead and put our air filter housing back in here. Connect our hose right here. Grab our 2 10mm bolts. And also tighten this 10mm here up, this hose clamp. And then back underneath the car, go ahead and tighten up your radiator drain plug here. And then you can go ahead and get your skid plate back on. So now we should be ready to start filling. So go ahead and grab a funnel. We'll start filling right here at the radiator cap. Grab your antifreeze that we mixed earlier in the video. Then when it starts getting full, go ahead and squeeze on this upper radiator hose, and we'll try and get as much air bubbles out as we can. And then go ahead and top it off some more. So with the radiator full, let's go ahead and top off our overflow here. Got your low and your full line there. So go ahead and fill that. And then let's go ahead and start it. And go ahead and turn your heat all the way on to high. And with it running, go ahead and check for leaks, especially around the thermostat housing there. And it looks like we are dry. Alright, so I let it run for a little bit until it shut off. With this being a hybrid, it just automatically shuts off. So it's not going to get up to temperature unless I take it out and take it for a drive. So, but the coolant did go down a little bit, so I squeezed on this hose a little more. And go ahead and top this off really quick. And then I will take it for a spin and make sure that thermostat opens up. And then I'll check the coolant again and let it cool overnight and check it in the morning. And then you can also go ahead and stick your engine cover back on as well. And that just pushes on there. Like that. Okay, so I just got back from a drive, and as you can see on the temperature gauge down there on the left, we're at normal operating temperature. So the thermostat did open, and I'm getting heat in the vents. So I will let this sit overnight, and then I will check that coolant in the morning and see if we need to add some. Alright, so that's going to do it for the video. Again, this was a 2012 Kia Optima hybrid. Went ahead and replaced the coolant along with the thermostat on it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other videos. I'll be doing some struts on this car. And I also did a video on the spark plugs and valve cover gasket. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. And until next time, thanks.